Bomberman is back, and what a huge surprise. Being an old school Bomberman fan since the TurboGrafx 16 days, I believe, it was really nice to see this game grace the Switch's launch. Konami has been dead to the gaming industry for, a year, 2 years now, so this really was a nice surprise and came as a huge shock to me to see them back in action, and with a game I never expected to see again. While Super Bomberman R doesn't break from the classic formula in any way, the fact the Switch is so diverse is ultimately what makes this game that much more compelling than previous entries. Be warned though, the entry price is a bit steep. What I love is Bomberman at home, Bomberman on the go, Bomberman everywhere. It's by far the absolute best feature of Super Bomberman R is the fact that you can play it quite literally anywhere and everywhere, in any of the 3 available modes the Switch offers. At home, you can have up to 8 players go to town. In tabletop mode, up to 4 players can share the small screen, and in portable mode, you can either play by yourself, or you can locally connect up to 8 players, or you can head online where up to 8 players can also play. One note to make is that for all the online matches I played while in console or portable mode, I couldn't get matches larger than 4 unless the other players had partner characters at home. Now I'm not sure if this is going to be fixed in an update or not, but as of now that's the way it works. In other words, most of the online matches you will play will be 4-player online matches maximum. The online and local multiplayer are literally a blast. As with every Bomberman game, you need to experience it with other players. At first, my online sessions were a bit sluggish, as you'll see in this review. However, that quickly improved over time. The more matches I played, the better the connections became. If you're unlucky and are stuck with some poor connections, believe me, you will feel it. It makes playing the game extremely challenging and sluggish. For my first 3 or 4 games, I couldn't even move around. I would place a bomb and get blown up almost immediately because of the input lag. Konami has already released a couple of patches to fix the connection issues, and I expect more to come in the coming weeks and months. Multiplayer plays very much like the classic Bomberman of yesterday, where you try and be the last man standing. What's fun here is that when you're defeated, you can hang out at the border of the arena and lob bombs at surviving players. If you manage to blow one up, you take their place and are back in the game. During the last minute of battle, the players who are defeated are officially kicked out, and the arena starts to fill with spikes, which forces the remaining players to get closer and closer to one another. It's an absolute riot and really truly great fun. There's a league match, which is ranked, and then there's free play, which allows you to customize online matches as you see fit. You can even buy stages with the game's in-game currency, but be warned, the coins you need are not really easy to attain. You get some from winning online matches and by completing the campaign, but it'll take quite a few rounds before you can afford too many things. And if you decide you want to play the campaign on the harder difficulty settings, be prepared to spend a small fortune if you want to continue. Considering the way Nintendo built the Switch, everyone who buys a copy of Bomberman automatically has access to local 2-player multiplayer, which is awesome. The downside is that the Joy-Con are not really the best controllers to use for people with larger hands like I have. I can use them perfectly fine when they're docked to the system or when they're part of the grip, but once they're apart, they're just too tiny for me. That said, the fact that you have access to multiplayer without having to spend any additional money is fantastic. I mentioned that the in-game currency can be used to purchase stages, but you can even unlock additional characters and headgear to really customize your avatar. There are 8 Bombermen by default, but the fact that you can make one truly your own is awesome. The single-player campaign is surprisingly excellent. Yes, it's a tad short, featuring 5 worlds made up of 8 classic stages and then 2 boss fights per world, but it's great fun. You select one of the 8 Bomberman whose mission is to stop the evil Emperor Bugler from destroying the universe. The cutscenes are extremely cute and humorous, which is precisely what you'd expect from a Bomberman game. Each world has a unique theme, and each stage has different winning conditions, the vast majority of which require you to defeat all enemies, but others will require you to find a set number of keys, activate a number of switches, survive for a certain amount of time, and so on. This diversity helps to keep things fresh. The level design is also excellent, with certain blocks allowing you to jump to other levels, ice patches that prevent you from standing in one spot, and much, much more. The boss battles are very fun, if not overly original. The first of the 2 boss battles is always a one-on-one battle. These are extremely challenging as your opponent always knows precisely where to stand to avoid getting blown up, which forces you to try and pin them to defeat them or basically perform a sacrifice move to take them down. The second boss battles are more or less all the same. The boss jumps into a giant mech and tries to take you down. What you have to do is stun him and then defeat him. The graphics look great even if they aren't using the Switch's hardware to its fullest. Everything is colorful and bright, which is shocking to see for a game released in 2017. Where's all the brown and gray? And the audio is really catchy and really fits the game perfectly. One problem I have with the new isometric camera angle is that it can make it hard to pinpoint your exact location. I can't tell you how many times I planted a bomb in one lane and tried to move over to the next, but I didn't realize I wasn't fully there, and boom, there goes a light. This can also make the elevated areas a bit tough to see, and don't even get me started on some of those mech boss fights, as the buggers will move in such a way that obstructs your view, so you can't tell where you are and you end up actually walking into them by accident. The controls are another area that take a little bit of getting used to, much like the camera. I don't know exactly what it is, but having 360-degree control over your character feels a little bit strange at first. This is evident when you head online, but after a while you do manage to adjust. So what's the worst feature of the game? Well, it's gotta be the price. In Canada, the game goes for $64.99, which is the same price as Kingdom Hearts HD 2.5 1.5 Remix on the PlayStation 4. Yes, I know, that's a mouthful. But the point is, that game contains tons and tons and tons of content. This game lasts for maybe 5 hours? Maybe? And yes, the multiplayer is great, but there really isn't much to it to justify that price. Super Bomberman R is a game I would easily recommend to anyone if it were just a little bit cheaper. I know people have discussed this to death by now, but it deserves repeating. The asking price gives people certain expectations, and I'll admit I was surprised by the amount of content when I played through the game. I kept telling myself that at this price I could have gotten something a lot meatier. But alas, it is what it is. Super Bomberman R is available exclusively on the Switch's eShop and in physical format if that's the way you roll. It's really recommended, but at the same time, I would wait for a price drop.